Okay, we're recording. Alright, now, before I'm going to start, I want to explain the differences in between block hone and a flex hone. You ever want to bore out a cylinder, you want to use a flex hone, because that's how you get these clean crosshatching. You see that? You can't get that using these block hones. It don't work. It always leaves high spots, so that's why I don't use them. Alright, now last video I explained how to press in cam bearings, which is done. Lubed up the whole engine block. Now we're going to start putting $5,000 worth of motor together. Alright, now first off, I need to rotate. You can see the motor alright, huh? Hmm? Okay. Why is there dog hair on here?
Because there's a dog in the house.
Okay, but are they jumping up on this thing or what? Hey, cool. Alright, now first, being that I put your view right here. Can you see that camshaft plug right there? No?
Hang on.
Let me get the flashlight. That camshaft plug. Yeah, right there. That little plug right there. That plug has to go in before you do anything else. Now, I prefer to install the camshaft first. Reason being, because I'm limited on workspace over here. Reason being I want to install the camshaft first is because with the crank in here, it doesn't give me access to easily work the camshaft in here. So, see it, here's the lifters, here's the camshaft. And let me see the camera. Camshaft I'm going with is 284 intake, 305 duration. 050 would be 240 on the intake, 253 on the exhaust, with a 0.507 lift on the intake, 525 on the exhaust, with a 113 lobe separation. And the reason, and this is specifically for a nitrous can, or specifically made for nitrous. RPM range is 2,800 to 2,500 RPM to 6,800 RPM is the operating range for this camshaft in particular. That's what I'm wanting to go with. So, and being that this is a flat tappet cam, all this black lobes right here has to have a specific break-in procedure done when you crank it up, because it's flat tappet. It goes up against here. You have to run lightweight springs and 2,000 to 2,500 RPM for 30 minutes. So, first thing I'm gonna do is get some of this badass assembly lube. coat several motors with this. Now I'm gonna coat just only the cam journals. The lobes, I have to use the comp cam assembly lube because it's specifically made to cling to the cam lobes during break-in, and it's supposed to help the break-in process. So I'm gonna lube this up. Now I would use just the comp cam assembly lube for the cam journals, but it doesn't cling to the shiny surfaces as well as this assembly lube does. The bad thing is it gets everywhere. Alright, close that up. Now I'm going to set this up so I don't get lube everywhere. Whoa, that is some runny stuff right there.
It's a lube, baby.
Huh?
It's a lube. Of course it's running.
Good Lord. That is some tacky stuff too. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wash my hands after this. Oh, might as well not wash my hands till I install the cam. So it's like Lucas gets everywhere. You ever mess around with Lucas?
No.
That stuff gets everywhere. Look at that. That's why I use it on the cam lobes. You want to make sure you saturate these cam lobes, especially, because they go through a lot of friction during the RPM break-in. And the reason why they say 2,000 to 2,500 RPM for 30 minutes, because at idle with a flat tappet cam, the crankshaft does not spin fast enough to sling oil onto the camshaft at idle. That's why with these flat tappet cams, they have to be brought up to RPM. So, alright, now we're all saturated. I'm not going to say lubed up. You want to just take your time and ease the camshaft in there. You do not want to scuff up your cam bearings that you just pressed in with the cam bearing tool. And if you want to know how to install cam bearings with a tool, I recorded a video on how to do that. You want to take your time. You do not want to rush this, because if you scuff your bearings up with the cam lobes, then you will have very crappy oil pressure. You want to go one at a time, just ease it. And this is why I like to have the crankshaft out of the motor while doing this. And you might get a little scratch here and there, that's okay. And see, I got the cam plug in, so I can't reach from the back like I did last time to do a test fit. Alright, now just as a precaution, I'm gonna put some more lube on this distributor gear. Then I'm gonna push it all the way back up against the cam plug, and it's all the way up against the cam plug, so I'm gonna rotate. And it's a little tight because I got lube on it, so if you think it's binding up, it's not. So I got lube on it. This assembly lube is made for alcohol motors. It's supposed to, it won't break down for the first 5 minutes of running the motor. So you can almost run your motor for 5 minutes with no oil and it won't hurt it. That's how good the stuff is. So you want to make sure your lobes are lined up with the lifter holes, which it is. It's got very, well, I'm going to slide it out. I just want to check that cam plug, make sure it's in, and it's all the way in. Just want to make sure it's seated. Always double check, triple check your work. Never assume that it's good. Make sure it's good. Alright. So it's got just a little bit of clay. Alright. Just what you want. Alright. So now the camshaft is in. Now, I gotta wash my hands.
Okay, you want me to stop it?
No, because you have to upload it.
Okay. No.
Please.
No.
All I know is your password.
No.
You're still. Please. Please.
No. Chris, my computer is slow. No.
Let me tell you how bad that stuff is. It's so bad, my hands are still sticky. Alright. I'm not even going to try to save this. Hey. Chunk that. Alright. Yes, chunk it. Alright, now on to the next step. Don't know how that got in there. Alright, I'm gonna clean up my mess. Oh, you having to use a light?
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
Okay, now, next step I'm gonna do is, I got my ARP main bearing stud. Before I do that, I need to install the two-piece main bearing, two-piece rear main seal. Alright, now on most of your two-piece rear main seals, they have to go in there kind of offset by 3/8. And so the seal as you see, goes inward like that. This is the outside right here, okay? And that is gonna go right there, like that. Now, what I'm gonna do is a little bit of oil. Bottles and nothing. I can use. Alright, first thing I'm gonna do is stick it in there like that. Oh, I got it backwards. Okay. Remember, you want it recessed about 3/8, like that. Okay. That'll keep it from leaking. And the way you do that, if you want to be precise about it, I always get you a tool and look up and if you're not sure, can access digital caliper. Always resort to using .3/8 socket.
Switch.
Still
Yeah, I can see.
Oh, okay. Your finger ain't blocking the camera?
Hmm?
Oh, alright. I always use a 3/8 socket. That's another way to tell if you're not too sure.
Alright. Gonna have to get you a camera.
Huh?
Gonna have to get you a camera.
Well, I don't do this often, so no need. Now, I also want to use, don't know if I got any more, black. Gotta use this nasty crap.
God. What even is that?
It's RTV, but it's made for high temp. Which it wouldn't hurt to use on something like this because it's going to be a high performance motor. It don't take much, just a little bit. Now, one thing you want to try to do is get the RTV off of the seal itself and only get it where the other half of the seal is going to join up. Alright, now this part out of the way. Now, if you're going to use high performance motor or build one, I like using Clevite Performance H bearings. Specifically for a small block 400. That's the part number right there. Can you see it? They look kind of ugly. They look discolored and nasty looking. That's how you know it's high performance bearings. So, this is being the top and you can say upper. Can you see that? You always want to line up with your groove. Now I've already set my crankshaft in play. And the way you do that is the end of these thrust bearings. If it's not set the way you want it, you want a minimum of a minimum of 3 to 5 thousandths of an inch crankshaft in play. For a performance motor, you want no more than 8. And if it's any more than that, just take these bearings and throw them away and buy a new set. And the way you do it is, if you don't have enough, you can always take this out, join them together, get emery cloth or a piece of glass with valve lapping compound, do a figure 8. And every 5 to 10 figure 8 motions you make, reinstall the bearings, put the crankshaft back in, check the end play again. Alright. So, and when installing these, you want to make sure the face is clean. It even says lower on this. I want to install it like that. Press it in by hand. Then I'm going to take some assembly lube. You can't use too much of this stuff. It really clings to parts. And like I said, you can damn near run a motor for 5 minutes with no engine oil and it won't hurt it. That's how bad this stuff is. It's more of a grease than a lube compared to most assembly lubes. Alright. Now I got that done. I take my other main seal. Make sure it's pointing outward. And let's see if this is going to go in there like that. I'm going to make sure this is recessed 3/8 of an inch. There's no need to put any RTV on this one because I already got some on there.
Make sure that's the right size.
I know. It's and it says if the engine ain't gonna be started for several days, put grease on it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put a little bit of assembly lube. Now if you're just replacing this and gonna put it right back in and start it right up, then use engine oil. But the motor's gonna be sitting for a couple days because we got a bunch of other work to do. Transmission, rear end, paint, a couple of knick-knack stuff. Now, before we go any further right here, I have to install the rest of it. Probably shouldn't have put any RTV right there just yet. And really, I'm just gonna go through for today the most important things. Well, the things I'm not gonna video. I'm not gonna video, you know, installing an intake and all that. I mean, it's just common sense things. Always make sure flush. These are the upper bearings. As you see, they got a hole for each journal, and that supplies oil to the crank and to the camshaft. The cam bearings, like I said in my last video, make sure the hole and the cam bearings are lined up with the journals passing through the block. Alright, now take these. As you see, all these bolts right here, they're going in the garbage because I ain't using them. They're cheap. I already had one of them bend on me when I dropped the main cap, so. And before I took the block apart, when I got it from this performance place, I ordered it because this is a brand spanking new block. I went on ahead and marked the main caps where they came from and which direction they were facing. So that being said, we'll go ahead and put in all these bearings. How much time am I up to on that camera?
27.
Huh?
27.
27 minutes. Alright, that ain't bad. I'm not gonna try to make it too long. It'll take forever to load. Put some lube on these bearings right here. And remember, you don't have to go light on this stuff. Especially when you're doing when you're rotating the motor by hand, makes it feel like butter. And before you lube up these bearings, always check your oil clearances. The way you do that is with plastic gauge. You break a little piece off and you put the crank in, put a little piece on a crank journal, put the main caps on, torque them down to spec, and then once you take the caps off, the plastic gauge will spread out, and then you use a little measuring paper, and it gives you your oil clearance measurements. I want to say it's 25 thousandths of an inch. So that's what mine is set at. Right now my crankshaft in play, and I'll show y'all how to check that in a minute. It's set at a snug 5 thousandths of an inch. So now for crankshaft. This is a scat crank, forged, cross drilled. That's how you know it's forged, when it rings like that. Cast iron crank ain't gonna ring like that. Alright, so I just want to ease this down in here. sure I'm free. Okay. Alright. I'll go ahead and just ease this on here because it's got the crank seal on it. And then use a double hammer and just tap it in there. Alright, it's seated. Alright, make sure I got rotation. And that's seated. Now, easy part is putting the rest of them on there. Alright, this is number 3. Just keep it out. We'll make sure it's seated. This is number 4. And these grooves right here, that's why I'm having to use a hammer to seat the main caps. It's kind of helped the torquing process. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. You know what? Take this off.
32.
That's fine. That's what I like about these main caps. They have little notches right there you can get them off with. Alright. Now I'll put in stud kit. And only the threads that go into the block are the ones that I'm going to use Loctite on. And to help, this is what I'm using to kind of tighten them down a little bit. Now something else you gotta realize is which ones go where. Short ones I got. The long ones. Okay. Just a little bit, just like that. then of course, once you install all your studs, of course the ones going straight up, I'm going to install red Loctite. The ones going in sideways, I'm not going to use Loctite, because the ones that are going straight up and down are going to be the permanent location ones. So now stay tuned. I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. Stay tuned. Later on, we're gonna do file fitting some rings. Stay tuned.